Ireland squad for the Six Nations 2023 is out, folks, and she's a pretty steady one, I reckon. There's only the one uncapped name in the bunch, but we'll go through them, see what Andy Farrell's been saying, what are the fixtures looking like, and yeah, you guys can let us know your thoughts. Obviously, Triple Crown last year, came second in the overall comp to a French side who had arguably a kind of fixtures list. So despite the fact that Ireland are away 3 of their 5 games this year, I still think it looks like potentially a decent draw. But anyway, we'll go through the squad first and then we will get to the fixtures. Andy Farrell has basically been talking about the fact that they're going to be able to build depth, increase competition for places. Now, if you looked at the old depth chart video, when we looked at the Irish squad from 2022, it was very consistent. There are teams which went out of their way to blood heaps of players and build heaps of depth. The Irish squad last year was not really like that compared to all the other teams. The Irish squad was the most consistent of all the Tier 1 teams, although we do need to keep in mind that they did send an Irish 15. So they played some non-test games basically in 2022, which undoubtedly in Andy Farrell's planning is certainly helping to build the depth. He's talked about a few of the players who are carrying knocks and still get selected, and the fact that some of the players who have missed out will undoubtedly get called up over the course of the competition, so they just need to keep putting their hands up for their provinces basically, which is what you would expect him to be saying, because the door in theory shouldn't be shut on anybody. Props wise, it's Bealham, Furlong, Healy, Kilcoyne, O'Toole and Porter. I guess the main talking point of that lot, because as I said, it's pretty consistent, is the fact that Tadhg Furlong hasn't played rugby for a couple of months, but he is the kind of player who you would not be surprised to just hit the ground running at test level and look like the best tight head prop in the world. But the fact that he has been in doubt for a little bit is concerning. Obviously, you want him to be fit. You want him to be firing. I feel like last year, didn't he play with like a little bit of a niggle for a while? Still always looks good, but yeah, you want him to get it right, especially in a Rugby World Cup year. Porter's been obviously playing the house down in 2022, and we would expect to see more of the same in 2023. So, even Finlay Bealham, who has his detractors, and it's hard when you're playing in the same test team as Tadhg Furlong, but I think Bealham's been looking all right. Don't shoot me. I think he's looking pretty decent. Forgive me if you disagree, but I like the look of his jib. There we go. Hookers, Herring, Kelleher and Sheehan. Good to see Kelleher get some international rugby back after missing pretty much all of last year, but boy did Dan Sheehan take that opportunity well, didn't he? And then Rob Herring comes along for the ride as well. It seems like a long time ago when you had Rory Best retire and you were like, geez, what are I going to do for hooker? You guys are kind of spoiled for choice at the moment. Locks, Baird, Byrne, Henderson, McCarthy, and Ryan. McCarthy's kind of the odd man out in that he's only got one test cap to his name. I mean, Ryan Baird somehow is still in only single digits with 8. I feel like he's had more, but maybe that's just because I've seen him playing for Leinster. But with Tadhg, Byrne, Ian Henderson, and James Ryan, I think in terms of like locking depth, that's among the best that you're going to see in any of the countries. Like I mean, South Africa's got some locks. We've got some locks here in NZ who are maybe getting a wee bit long in the tooth. But James Ryan's a big old unit with a huge work rate. Tadhg Byrne's going to win a ton of turnovers. And Ian Henderson, now that he's back fit, because he missed a lot of test rugby last year, didn't he? He's one of my favourites as well. So there you go. It's your type 5, and then loose forwards, always one of the areas where you're going to see guys kind of miss out. Jack Conan, Coombs, Gavin Coombs, another one of my favourites. Doris, Omani, Prendergast, and Van der Fleer, reigning kind of World Player of the Year. Van der Fleer, it's got a nice ring to it. He's been playing pretty well. I was going to do a video solely on Josh Van der Fleer, but kind of ran out of time. But suffice to say, he's the guy whose game has come along pretty nicely in the last couple of years, to put it mildly. I was just saying, Gavin Coombs, man, he's only got 2 caps. I hope he gets some decent game time. I feel like if nothing else, he's going to get a game against Italy. I feel like he's probably competing with Caelan Doris for a jersey, which is tough Norris is pretty classy as well. But Gavin Coombs, man, knacker getting over the line from 5 metres out, doesn't he? He can take a metre and turn it into 3. So, yeah, pretty pleased. Certainly going to be pressure on Jack Conan, who not that long ago was like the premier guy, gets picked for the British and Irish Lions. And, he's there's a lot of pressure on. Competition for places is what Andy Farrell calls it, and he is... he's not wrong. Obviously, you got to feel for a guy like Nick Timoney. He doesn't get picked in terms of loose forwards, but I mean, he's probably competing with Josh van der Fleer, isn't he? And Prendergast's pretty versatile, so yeah, it's tough. Kieran Treadwell, I guess, is another one. Had a fair bit of game time last year in the second row. He's one who's kind of conspicuous in his absence, but I mean, there's no new caps here. These guys are all been there. Some of them are low on caps, like Prendergast, like McCarthy, like Tom O'Toole, but yeah, man, Andy Farrell likes to play his premier guys, and there's not that many games left before a World Cup to get more game time, test game time, into some of the less experienced guys, and he'll be dying to win a bloody Six Nations after coming so close, but we'll kind of have to wait and see if he does kind of vary things up a bit with some of these more fringe guys. For the backs, half-backs, Casey, Gibson, Park and Murray, that's all pretty much same. So there's not a heck of a lot of change there. I mean, Gibson Park, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I mean, Ireland look a phenomenal team when that guy is just doing that, play the game at a million mile an hour thing. He suits that game plan to a T. You could argue Conor Murray not so much. Conor Murray's got a bloody good box kicking game, but certainly I think Gibson Park just makes Ireland look the business. He's one of the key cogs in that machine. I know we all talk about the props of Porter and Furlong, and talk about Johnny Sexton and whatnot, Van der Fleer getting Player of the Year, but Gibson Park, I don't think can kind of be underestimated. And I love watching Craig Casey play as well. Adds a bit of zip whenever he comes on, or when he starts with Munster, doesn't he? Number 10, Ross Byrne, Jack Crowley, and Johnny Sexton. Johnny Sexton's another one of the guys who, as mentioned, has got a little bit of a doubt. I think he did play at the start of the year, didn't he? Didn't play against Connacht, but we haven't seen him for a couple of weeks. He had like a facial injury, I think. So he's maybe a little bit in doubt for the start of the comp, but I'm really pleased for Ross Byrne because I feel like he looked the business at the end of last year. He just seemed to be playing with a bit of swagger. And I think he needs that. I feel like he's had the pressure of playing behind Sexton for Ireland and for Leinster for a long time, and just, I don't know, played within his shell. Sometimes it's hard for guys to take the step up. He plays with Leinster. A lot of the time they're giving teams drubbings, and then he got checked on the deep end a couple of times. Ireland didn't look very good, but it felt to me like he'd turned it around. We will kind of have to wait and see. I picked him as one of my guys to really look out for in this year. So he's my guy. We'll see if I'm proved a fool or if he lives up to the hype I'm giving him. I should say I also said Morgan Morris for Wales was going to be one of my big guys, and Gatlin did not pick him. So it's a bit of a crapshoot. But Joey Carberry is obviously the biggest omission there. But for mine, Ross Byrne. If I was picking, I would also have Ross Byrne over Carberry for what that's worth. But just my 2 cents, eh? Midfielders, Aki, McCloskey, Ringrose, and then also Jamie Osborne as well. Jamie Osborne is the kind of uncapped guy, midfield, but can also be a bit of a utility. We did see him play against the All Blacks 15 on that tour. So whilst he's not played a test rugby, we have seen him in the green of Ireland before. So he's another one that is certainly going to benefit from this experience of being in the squad, being around the experienced guys like Aki and Ringrose. And I love that big unit, which is Stuart McCloskey. I've been on that bandwagon for a long time. I love just watching that guy get the ball and crash into other human beings. Is one of my favourite things to watch in the world. So very pleased for him. Obviously Henshaw's out injured, and I think he'll be racing to try and get back fit. But from what Farrell said, that's Andy Farrell, it seems like he's a little bit more behind schedule than the likes of a Furlong or a Sexton, so we'll kind of have to wait and see. Outside backs, Earls, Hansen, Keenan, Lama, Lowe, O'Brien and Stockdale. So they're pretty well stocked with some outside backs. There's a number of omissions in the backs. It's good to see Jordan Lama has managed to kind of stay in the squad because he's been on the fringes for a wee while, hasn't he? Really fleet-footed guy. And then when Keenan came onto the scene and just took that 15 jersey, kind of lowered Lama down the pecking order. But he does have a different kind of attacking game. I feel like Keenan's great under the high ball and runs those kind of sneaky lines where it doesn't look like he's doing that much, but he's really elusive, whereas Lama with the footwork is just incredible. So a different kind of player, but I'm pleased for him. James Lowe's big boot is obviously going to be very important. It's a big part of the way they play when he is playing on that left wing. There's been a bit of talk about some of these guys like Stockdale and Keith Earls maybe not being in the best of form, and there's other guys who could have got selected. There's been a little bit of suggestion that with some guys still having kind of central Irish contracts that they kind of feel obliged to pick these guys. We're going to have to wait and see if they get selected or not. Keith Earl's only a couple of caps away from 100, so it'd be nice for him to get into triple digits for all the services he's given to Irish rugby. But then also, as a coach, you've got to be pretty ruthless and put out a winning team every week. It's good that he can cover the back line and the midfield as well if needs be, though, and he's certainly going to be a cool head in a pressure situation. But every player's got their day when it's their last game, so we'll kind of have to wait and see. I mean, Rob Ballacoon, Mike Lowry. I mean, the Munster guys maybe. Hume in the midfield as well. I don't even remember if he's fit because he's been injured for a long time. There's been a few Ulster guys not make this squad, but Ulster's on a bit of a bad run. So maybe that a bit of a kind of not moral victory, but you can hold your head high. Champions Cup game last week, but still the losing runs maybe not help some of these guys' chances. Shane Daly, Kelvin Nash, there's a lot of other guys you could have looked towards, but that's the squad. Like it's pretty steady. There's not really any totally left field ones. I think it all kind of makes sense. I mean, Carberry's a mission, Treadwell's a mission, and maybe kind of a couple of the biggest ones. But fixtures list, like I mentioned, Triple Crown winners last year had to go to France away. This year, 2 home games already sold out. France in round 2 and England in the final week. I think pretty important games. I think if you were going to pick only 2 games to have at home, you probably pick those 2. Especially because you got England last. With a new coaching setup, it is going to take a little bit of time for the England guys to, I guess, get in sync. They may do it first round, but obviously it's tougher to get the kind of new coaching embedded, although he's been with England before. But by this week, they're going to be as prepped as they ever have been. So to have them at home, and the fact that it's England, it's always a big rivalry game against Ireland, England. I think that's a good one to have at home, and you certainly want France at home. You don't want to be travelling to France if you can avoid it. So Wales away, maybe you can catch Gats aside before they've had a chance to settle down. Italy, they're resurgent, but Ireland needs to be beaten Italy, realistically, if you want to win a Six Nations. And then likewise Scotland. Ireland's absolutely had the win over Scotland in recent times. Scotland will be dying to get a win over Ireland, and the fact that they're at home, maybe that's a potential banana skin, but it tends to be that either Scotland do something brain explosion or Ireland just prove to be too good, or a bit of both in those games recently. So Ireland tend to have that one pretty well secured. So yeah, folks, I'm very much looking forward to the Six Nations. It is not too far away. If you want to play some Super Brew, which is a predictions game, we've got a pool going on. I came second in my own pool last year. I was so close to topping the pool. I think the year before I did top it. So it's a good one to kind of see where your predictions are at. I'll put a link down to that game in the description. It's free. So join us there if you wish. Let us know your thoughts on the Irish squad. Do you think this is a side which is going to go on and finally get that Six Nations under Andy Farrell? It would certainly be a big boost in a World Cup year. Or do you reckon there's going to be other sides who prove a bit too much? Looking at you, France. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.